Hello to Omni Dogs and Omni Kittens. This is Omni Dog from Omni Dog's Vault, here with my friend Taylor Brown. Taylor, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm going to try as hard as I possibly can not to touch my stupid face.
I'm already going for it.
I'm acting like there's like a barrier in front of my face, but I know it's going to happen in like a minute or two.
I know.
My nose already itches thinking about it.
This is number 2 in a series of Keep Calm and Read comic books. It's a global thing is happening right now. It's the middle of March 2020, so I understand that everybody's on some side of a little flipped out. You're either a lot flipped out or a little flipped out. There's some things going on, and mainly because it's not in our control. We have very little that's in our control, and we don't understand a lot. But there is one thing we can do, as I said in my first video, that you can do to make your situation a little better is to be kind to somebody else. Always be kind to your friends and family, but if you're kind to a stranger, it makes a huge bit of difference in that stranger's life. So if you're in the grocery store and you let somebody in front of you, or you're on the highway and somebody's trying to get on and you let somebody on, it makes a huge difference in that person's life, and there's a good chance they may pay it forward. And we're all in this together, so we can all just do a little bit of our part to just try and make our little corner of the world that much better. And one way we're going to try and do this, I'm going to try and put out a lot of videos to help people watch, take their mind off of things. I've got a library of over 300 videos. I know that's a sore point with Taylor because he was the 301st video.
That jerk Tyler, he has swept in at the last minute.
Tyler took it. Swept in, and Tyler Blunt snuck it out of his reaches with the.
He acts like he's all sweet and innocent, but he really is like he has a dark side that we don't know about. His motivations aren't exactly pure. And speaking of what Jess was just saying, if you have a basement full of toilet paper, share it. Stop hoarding.
Yeah, don't hoard now. We're all in this together. But here I'm touching my face again, but my face is
I already touched it twice, and I just said I wasn't going to. Whenever I think about not doing something, I'm going to do it that much more.
My skin itches. I can't. I'm going to be touching it. So
I have this weird like psychosomatic thing. If I think about like, if I see a heart attack on a movie, my chest kind of feels tight. Or if like I think about like a headache, my head just feels weird. If I think about a cold, my nose will just itch. I just feel like I have this weird like if I think about it too much.
Well, think about being calm and relaxed.
Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna talk about some of our favorite comics that we read this past year.
Yeah, we've read the 3.5 or 2.5. We're only in March 15th. Or whatever today is. Is today March 15th or 16th?
It's the 15th, but it feels like so much longer. This year already feels like it's going to be the longest thing ever in the entire history of my life.
So we're going to talk about our favorite comics that we've read this year, and they could have been made in any year, but we read them this year in an effort to give you something to watch, and maybe you'll see a comic that sounds good to you. You can also go to my channel. As I said, I've got over 300 vids where I've got a wide range of topics that you can watch. Most of them are short. For those of us with short attention spans, that's me. That's why I make them short. This one will be a little bit longer since there are 2 of us, but we do share. One thing that we share is a love for a couple of the same books. So we will be talking about a couple of the same books here. Right. Taylor, what would you like to talk about first that you've read so far in 2020 that you really liked?
Well, I want to talk about a book that we actually interviewed its creator a month or 2 ago, and that's Violent Love. I loved these books. We interviewed Frank Barberi, I think is the way he told us to say his last name. This is a phenomenal series. It's very much a gritty crime noir, a romantic love story that really goes to a lot of unexpected places. And it follows these 2 bank robbers named Daisy and Rock, and it kind of follows their love story. But it's also, as you can tell by the title, extremely violent and has a lot of really cool action set pieces. If you're a fan of Darwin Cook, if you're a fan of Bruce Timm, you're going to absolutely love this artwork. And we had a great time interviewing Frank Barberi last month. So if you are interested in this book, please go back and watch that interview with Frank. It was about an hour long, and it was a really fascinating dive into his career and some awesome books like Violent Love. And his most famous book is probably Five Ghosts, which I know Jess is a big fan of.
Yeah.
Well, I am as well. I just really thought this book was very inventive. It was very unique. Victor Santos's art is phenomenal. I believe Jess loved it as well.
Yeah.
The covers are fantastic. And I'm really excited to get into another series by Victor Santos, and that is Polar.
Yeah.
I think Jess just got that whole series, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Off someone in the group. And if you don't know about it already, Jess and I do a show called Crime Corner, and this is a perfect crime book. If you want to hear about more crime books, we have a whole playlist of different crime books that we talk about. And we have a live show coming up this Tuesday about James Bond by Warren Ellis and 8 Million Ways to Die, which is a graphic novel. So we're really excited to talk about those books with you this Tuesday. But in the meantime, you can get these two books on Hoopla. You can order them off Amazon. You can order them off InStock Trades. They're fantastic. They're beautifully made trades, and they definitely deserve your time and attention.
I fully agree. Those were two great books. That series is really well done, and I agree with that. I will go to a book. I'll save the books that we both agreed on. I'll go to a separate book. And that book was Britannia by Peter Milligan. I think this is one of the best things he's ever written. I love this. It deals with the Roman Empire during Nero's time, when a soldier is resurrected by the Vestal Virgins, and he's, instead of a soldier, he becomes what's known as the detector, and he helps solve crimes, or mysteries rather, in ancient Roman times, dealing with sometimes an occult touch. He doesn't believe in anything occult, although nothing but occult stuff happens here. He believes in only that which he can really see, feel, and touch. But lots of occult things happen out on the outer reaches of the Roman Empire, specifically the area of Britannia, as we talk about. And the art is great. The story is never less than fascinating. It is a wonderful, historic, epic mystery, and there are three separate stories that the detector helps solve the mystery in. And this is a Valiant book. It's available in oversized hardcover deluxe edition, and I loved this book. This is really an excellent Valiant book. Valiant doesn't get enough attention. Maybe this year. Oh, Detectioner, not Detector, Detectioner. Detectioner has to deal with not only the Vestal Virgins agenda, but Emperor Nero's agenda, whilst trying to get to the truth of things. And maybe this year I can see if I can get some more Valiant love going. I mean, I've already committed myself to about 100 books.
And you don't have to read anything in the Valiant universe. This is a perfect place to start, correct?
Correct. You don't have to know a darn thing about anything. This is completely separate and is its own book. Good point. Yeah, you don't need to know a thing, and except that it is really well written, really well drawn, and I loved Britannia.
I was so frustrated because I saw your review of that a couple months ago, and I wanted to read it on Hoopla, but they only had 2 of the trades, and there were 3 trades. It's like, come on, why do you have 2 of them and not the third one?
Oh, that's too bad.
But you said they're all self-contained, right?
Yeah, there's a sort of a thread that runs throughout it about the Vestal Virgins and Emperor Nero, and the detector who has a young son who's being raised by Detectioner, who has a son that's being raised by another couple, and I'm here touching my face constantly.
I've given up already.
So there are threads that run throughout the books, but they are three separate stories, three separate mysteries that he tries to solve.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to get that down the road. That sounds like a really cool crime story set back in the ancient times. So that sounds really cool to me.
Yeah, it is
It's
very
kind of like Gladiator meets like a detective novel or something.
exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he gets a partner that is a female sort of Amazonian gladiator. She survived. She's a slave that has survived several gladiator combat episodes, and he gets her as a partner and eventually wins her freedom from Emperor Nero, and she's a great foil to him. It's
Okay.
very fun.
I'll definitely check that out sometime soon. That sounds great.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
All right, cool. So my next choice is one that I think a lot of people know about. It's an Eisner Award winner, and that is Black Bolt by Authority Omnibus and Christian Ward. This is my first Inhumans book ever. And I wasn't lost. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Definitely worthy of that Eisner Award. It's a really cool 12-issue miniseries that's self-contained. It tells a story about Black Bolt, the king of the Inhumans. I think at this time he's not the king of the Inhumans anymore. Is that correct? I think Medusa is the head of the Inhumans now.
I think so. Yeah, he's off in space as captured as a prisoner, right?
Yeah, he's in this prison. He has no idea how he got there. He has no idea what's going on, and he makes friends with one of the most unlikely of allies, a person that I never even really read before, but I loved, Crusher Creel.
Oh, yeah.
Villain. He was by far the best character of this entire book. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
he was
I read this book last year, but I remember really liking it.
It makes you really sympathize with Crusher Creel. It shows you his background. It shows you why he became a villain. And it shows you he's not even that bad of a villain. He's really good at robbing things and destroying things, but he has a line in the sand that he will not cross. He's not like the Joker. He's not like Norman Osborn. He's not just evil for the sake of being evil. He does bad things so that he can take care of himself and his family. That he has somewhat altruistic motives for what he does, even though he does enjoy being a villain. I just thought this book was phenomenal. It has artwork by, like I said, Christian Ward I've never even seen before. It has Fraser Irving artwork, which isn't my favorite, but I thought it suited this book pretty well. And I kind of equate this book with a Vision by Tom King. It's a self-contained miniseries that you can read all by itself and really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It really dives deep into a character that I didn't really know or care about that much, and it made me want to read more Inhuman books. So I think Gio would be happy to hear about that. So if you haven't already, this is a really nice hardcover that Marvel put together. You can get it probably for like $20 on in-stock trades. If you're in other parts of the world that's a little bit harder to get in-stock trades, I'm sure you can find it for a good price on Amazon as well. I wholeheartedly recommend this book, even if you're not an Inhumans fan, even if you've never even read an Inhumans book ever. I had no idea about the Inhumans besides Miss Marvel. That's it. So this is definitely a book you need to check out.
That's a good recommendation. I still have that in trade paperback. I haven't upgraded, so...
Ooh, I'm not going to try to convince you, but this is a nice hardcover.
Yeah, it is nice looking.
These are my favorite editions of any books. I love these big, thick hardcovers that Marvel does, and I like the ones that DC doesn't seem like they're going to be doing anymore. But I still love those Rebirth hardcovers. I'm glad they're still doing the Tom King hardcovers, though. So I'm happy about that. That's my favorite format. I know a lot of you love Omnis, and that's great. My preferred format is deluxe, oversized hardcovers.
I agree with that. That's probably my favorite, too.
You get the oversized artwork, and it's not cumbersome to read.
Right.
One of my choices that's coming up is a very cumbersome read, even though it's a fantastic read because it's an omnibus.
Oh, okay. I'm interested in finding out. I just reviewed this book yesterday on the OmniDog and OmniCat show, but I really enjoyed it. And that is Berserker Unbound by Jeff Lemire with art by Mike Diodato. And I'll show you some of the artwork. This involves a Berserker king. He's called a Berserker. He is. This is back in the ancient days, sword and sorcery days, and he comes home from a battle to see his village wiped out his wife and daughter, whom he loved, wiped out, and an evil wizard is after him to finish the job of wiping out his people. He escapes into a cave. You see, he escapes into a cave here that brings him into our time. He emerges in a cave in our time and is befriended by a homeless man in the hills of what looks to be like maybe upstate New York type of thing. But he's fortunate that the first person that finds him is a homeless guy that has a little camp set up. It's not an original idea to bring somebody from the past into modern day cities, but Jeff Lemire, of course, does a great job of writing this book and anticipating what you think is going to happen and making it completely different. The king, the Berserker King, even though they don't speak the same language, makes friends with the homeless man. They venture into the city together, where they have other adventures, going to like a homeless kitchen to get food, and the guy doesn't have any money but for liquor, which they both want. But the Berserker King has like a gold doubloon that helps pay for all this liquor. and the guy said, yeah, okay, I'll take that. That's fine. And it's really interesting to see, even though they don't speak the same language, how this friendship forms. And it's also interesting to watch not only the friendship form, but how the evil sorcerer is pursuing the Berserker King throughout time. It is really well done. I really enjoyed this book. So far it's one and done. I loved the ending. I thought the ending was really well done. The art is, of course, excellent by Mike Deodato, who is a great artist. And there are a couple of twists and turns in this book that I didn't expect, and that are really good and contribute to the story. So I would recommend Berserker Unbound. This is a Dark Horse book by Jeff Lemire and Mike Deodato Jr. This is one of my choices, Berserker Unbound.
I believe that's an ongoing series, correct?
Oh, is it? Okay.
I heard that. That's why I'm somewhat hesitant to buy that, because it's Jeff Lemire. I know it's going to get a library edition down the road. It is an ongoing series. I believe it's like an ongoing of mini series, kind of like Hellboy or Black Mirror. No, Black Hammer. I'm sorry. I think somewhat like that, from what I've heard.
The story ends on a fine note. I mean, I could. It seems like it could be the end or the beginning of more. So I can see how it's the beginning of more. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm just trying to be so careful about, I'm trying to wait on hardcovers if I can, because I don't want to upgrade anymore. I'm just kind of done with that. So I want to read that book really bad, but I'm wondering if it'll get a library edition down the road that I want to put next to Harrow County and other ones that I have. So
yeah,
I'm not sure yet.
I don't blame you.
So it's your second Jeff Lemire book on your best of 2020 so far with Essex County.
Oh right? Yeah, that was on the first video. Yeah.
Well, I've never read anything by him that I didn't like. So far, I haven't read everything he's ever done, but I like all the things that I've read.
Yeah, I'm due to read Underwater Welder here soon. That's supposed to be really good too.
All right, so I'll go on to my big door-stopping choice that Jess peer pressured me into, and that's the Authority Omnibus.
Ah, beautiful.
I still haven't finished this book totally because I've gotten distracted with some other books I had to read for the other shows that we do. But this is a great. It's going to be hard to show off artwork in this book. It's so freaking heavy. Let me try my best. In the beginning, it's Brian Hitch artwork, and towards the end, there's a lot of what's his name, Frank Quietly, who I really enjoyed. I know a lot of people don't like the Mark Millar stuff, but I love the Mark Millar stuff.
Right.
I thought it was fantastic. I love this book. The Authority is my new favorite superhero team. I absolutely love them. And I really love the book, The Wildstorm by Warren Ellis as well, which is a reboot of these characters and some others. I greatly enjoy this book. It's a lot of fun. If you want to see superheroes who are messed up, who love to beat people up, and even go to an extreme and kill people, this is the book for you. There's a huge there's a lot of stuff packed into here. It's a great book. I'm really glad that Jess peer pressured me into it. If you like this book, please, please, please buy The Wildstorm by Warren Ellis, because I want those to be made into an omnibus or a bunch of hardcovers.
Right.
I'm happy with the trades. I would happily upgrade. I know I just said a couple minutes ago I don't want to upgrade anymore. That might be my favorite Warren Ellis series.
You want to selectively upgrade. I get it.
I love the Authority, but I think I still like the Wildstorm better.
And you read Wildstorm first, right?
Yeah, I know you said that you should read the Authority first, but I wasn't lost at all because it's essentially a reboot.
It is a reboot.
Like, you really shouldn't have to know anything about the original series to enjoy it.
No, you did the opposite of what I recommended, but you got enjoyment out of both, so that's all I care about.
You don't have to watch the Michael Keaton Batman to enjoy Batman Begins. It's a reboot of that same character.
Right.
And they're not even always the same characters. It's kind of a mishmash of Wildcats and the Authority and some other characters as well.
Yeah.
It's not a total Authority book, but it essentially is an Authority book.
Yeah, and it's great too. Yeah. I think I read it last year, so it doesn't count for me for this year.
And I was really careful not to pick books that I've reread this year, because I've read books like Stumptown and Lock and Key for the second time this year. And so I decided not to put that on my list, even though I love both of those series. I'm just thinking of books that I just read for the first time in 2020.
Stumptown's a good one. I should put that on the list for my third video.
That was a great book. It would have been on my list, but again, I'm trying to stick to books I read for the very first time this year.
Yeah. Now where is Stumptown? Now I've misplaced my.
You misplaced them again?
My trade paperbacks. I think they're on the other side of the
desk. With the hardcovers.
They're on the other side of this desk. I
think you had them already.
The next book is one that I think we both share a love for. This is my #1 book of the year so far. It's going to take a lot to displace it. I don't know how it gets displaced out of the top 3, let alone top 5. Harleen.
I knew you were going to say it. So I have my book copy because it's one of my favorites as well.
Perfect.
Now we're going to talk about it right here, but if you want a more in-depth analysis of this book, the Birds of Prey movie, and the Harley Quinn TV show, go back to our Batter Days in the Batcave episode about all 3 of these things.
Right. Why don't you talk about it while I show the artwork?
Okay, so it's by, I'm going to try to get his name right. I'm going to go with the pronunciation you told me, Stepan Shedge, like Sean Connery. So basically, this is a reimagining of Harley Quinn's origin story. And if you're looking for a Harley Quinn story, you might be disappointed. This is basically about Harleen. As the title would suggest, it's mainly about Harleen before she becomes Harley Quinn. It's me and Jess both love Mad Love. Mad Love is a great comic, but it doesn't really go super in-depth into how Harleen became Harley. And that jump never really totally clicked with me, even though I accepted it because it's comic books. This book makes you understand why this woman not only falls in love with the Joker, but becomes a villain in her own right. Everything makes sense. There are no plot holes. Every plot thread is picked up later on in the book. It has a fantastic subplot with Harvey and some vigilante cops who want to take care of all the villains that Batman refuses to kill. I just thought the art was fantastic. The story was an original telling of a story that we've heard before. I loved everything about this book, and I definitely know it's going to be in my top 5. I don't know if it'll be my top #1 book, but it might be. As of right now, I think it is my #1 book that I've read this year. But I know it's definitely going to be my top 5 at least.
Yeah, and everything that Taylor said goes for me. I love this book. Can't say enough about it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to reread it. And it comes with a special acetate cover, the first printing, so you should get it before they run out of those. Top-notch writing, top-notch art. I can't say enough about how much I love this book. It is just
Cover is
great.
so cool. The way they do this cover is awesome.
Yeah.
Would you say this is your favorite Harley Quinn book? Does that still go to Palmiotti and Connor?
That's a good question. Palmiotti and Connor's books are the ones that made me love Harley Quinn, because I liked her before that, but I loved the New 52 iteration of her. So I would have to say I'd have to stick with the New 52 Palmiotti Connor run.
This is a close second, you would say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because of it created this whole love, statues, toys, comic books, posters, everything of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that's when Harley Quinn became your girlfriend.
Sure.
You always call her your girlfriend, so I just
Yeah, she is my girlfriend. You're right. Her and Emma Frost are my two fictional girlfriends.
Right. So my last pick of the night is a book I finished about 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago on Hoopla. So I had Jess pull it for me. Actually, I have two more books, actually. I'll talk about one of them, and that is Black Monday Murders by Jonathan Hickman. Now, I was kind of scared off this book for a while because I was told that I wouldn't understand it because it's a lot about the financial market and stock market. I remember Lou saying he fell asleep reading it. I don't know what was going on with Lou that day. I don't know. I loved that first volume. I don't know a lot about the stock market. I know the basics of it. I love this book. It's basically like Seven, the movie, meets the occult. That's the best way to describe it. And it meets the financial market. It's a neo-noir occult book. It's a crime story, which is my bread and butter, which I love. This book is very dense. It has a lot of diagrams. It is a Hickman book. There are diagrams. There's transcripts. There's a lot of other things that he has packed in there as well. This book is well worth your money. Jeff, show off how thick that trade is. That's a big trade. That's a really thick trade. So there's two trades as of right now. After the show is over, I'm going to go downstairs and read the second trade before I go to bed later on tonight. I'm really excited to finish out this story. At least I'm excited to finish the second volume. I know there's one more volume that's going to come out eventually. So as of right now, I'm not going to buy the trades. I'm going to wait for the inevitable hardcover because Hickman always gets hardcovers, so I'll wait for that. So if you're intimidated by this series, please don't be, and try it out on Hoopla at least. I think you'll greatly enjoy it. It is very dense. It requires you to pay attention and really focus. It's not a breezy read, but I think it's a very rewarding read, and I really enjoyed it. It might be my favorite Hickman book that I've read so far. I think that and House of X Powers. Is it House of X and Powers of 10?
Correct.
Powers of 10. Okay, so I really enjoyed that as well. So I think you should definitely try out if you're a fan of crime, if you're a fan of the occult. I know Jess is a big fan of occult books. So if you like his recommendations, definitely check out Black Monday Murders.
I highly recommend Black Monday Murders. I loved it. Yeah, but I read it last year.
I know Jess gave the warning of if you're not a big financial person, you might not enjoy it. I'm not a big financial person. I enjoyed it. So I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I only came up with that caveat because of what other viewers had told me. So,
and you are a financial person, so you can only speak to your experience of the book.
Yeah. So if you had no problem with it, that's great.
I think if you're an adult who does any investing of any sort, I think you at least will understand the gist of it.
Okay.
If you're a 15-year-old, this probably won't be the book for you. You probably shouldn't be reading this, actually.
No.
Don't read it until you're 17 or 18.
Right.
But again, I think it's a fantastic book, and I'm really glad that I read it.
I think we're down to just one book that we both agree on. This is, I think this is the one where you can talk about it and I can show off. This is the first time I ever read this book. It's from 2007, and I can't even remember why did we read this for like a crime corner or?
No, I think I just found it on Marvel Unlimited, and I told you to read it because you hadn't read it yet, and we both loved it. And that is
okay.
Next Wave by Warren Ellis. I think we were both on a big Warren Ellis kick together,
yeah,
and we decided to read this book around the same time. I just said that my favorite Warren Ellis book is The Wildstorm. This is my second favorite Warren Ellis book, I think.
Mm.
This is probably the funniest comic book that I've ever read.
Yeah,
it's really hard to make me laugh out loud. I laughed out loud at least 5 to 10 times reading this book. It's one of those things where I don't know if you ever read a comic book or a novel in front of your wife and you laugh and she kind of gives you a dirty look, like, what are you doing over there? I mean, there's a couple of times my wife would give me like the stink guy, like, what are you laughing about? I was laughing at my comic book over here. But I love this book. It's ridiculous. It follows this team of dysfunctional heroes that includes Elsa Bloodstone, Monica Rambeau, Tabitha Smith, and Machine Man, and someone known as the Captain. And you don't really know what his full name is because it's blurred out. It's Captain, a 4-letter word. So fill in the blank of what you think that would be. I love the Captain, I think, the most. I thought he was hilarious. I think this is made up of mainly two issue arcs. So I don't know how many issues there are, Jess. Can you look on the back and tell us how many there are?
1 through 12.
Okay, so there's 6 storylines, 2 issues each. It's a lot of fun. You're going to breeze right through this. I think I read the whole thing in one evening, and it was so much fun. And I really, really want to get that complete collection because I read it on Marvel Unlimited. I believe it's still on Cheap Graphic Novels. I think that's the only place you can get it. I think it may be on Amazon, but it's for like $40. So I'm not going to do that. I'll go on Cheap Graphic Novels and get it for a little bit cheaper than that.
$40?
Yeah, you know how Amazon does it. So I'm going to try to get up Cheap Graphic Novels pretty soon because I love this book. And it's definitely a book that I'm going to reread. And that's a sign of a really good book that I really want to keep in my collection, a book I want to keep rereading over and over again. Because I know this is just a fun, wild ride that I'm going to pull off the shelf whenever I'm in a bad mood and want to be put into a good mood.
Yeah, I echo everything Taylor said. This book is just solid, fun, lighthearted, and quirky, and just really humorous. But it's well done with lots of interesting stories. But it is Warren Ellis at the top of his game. I still haven't read a bad Warren Ellis book.
Me either.
I know they're out there. Somebody's told me that, he does do some paycheck books.
Hellstrom or something. Wasn't that his first Marvel book that people hated?
Oh, but I think even he said, why are they making an omnibus of that? They shouldn't do that.
I think that was one of his first books, and he admits it was terrible. I've heard that one is his worst one.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that one. I'd still like to read it, but I wouldn't count that one. But I've heard that he does some paycheck books. I've got an awful lot to read yet still of Warren Ellis, but I loved Agents of Hate, and it's all the love it gets, it deserves.
That needs to be a Marvel MCU movie.
Yeah.
Because I know they picked things like Guardians of the Galaxy and the Eternals, things that nobody knew about and then blew up. I think that would be a fantastic series on Disney Plus or a movie series. I think Disney Plus might be the way to go with those characters.
That's a good idea.
I should really think about that.
That's a really good idea.
And if you're sorry to turn this into the Warren Ellis show, but please watch Castlevania Season 3 if you haven't already. That was phenomenal. Jess needs to buckle down because we're on quarantine right now, Jess. So now's a good
I have to get my taxes done, but first I have to read the Crime Corner books because we're having a live show on Tuesday, so I need to read those first.
I'll give you the pass then.
What's that?
I'll give you a pass then.
Castlevania's going to have to wait till the end of the week.
Your adult thing has to come first.
I know. Well, also, we're refinancing our house and this.
We don't want to get in trouble with Tyler Blunt and the other people who do taxes, so we don't want to get you in trouble with them.
Right.
I guess he's not an IRS agent, but he'll turn you in.
He probably would.
He'd act like he wouldn't, but he has that dark side, and he would turn you in.
That swooped in and stole episode 300 from you.
That smile just hides a lot of darkness in that soul of his. Don't let him fool you guys. He's evil. He's a funny guy. He's a good guy on the outside. The inside, not so sure.
Okay. Thank you to Taylor for joining me. Thank you to the viewers out there who are watching. Please leave a comment if you want. We always respond to comments. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Be nice to each other out there. Things will get better. We'll get through this. And peace and love. Peace and love.
See you guys.